Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Enlightening Your Way. I am your host, Nancy Lombardo. We are airing here on the Lilydale Assembly official Facebook page. I am a year-round resident here in Lilydale and the Church of Living Spirit, which is an independent spiritualist church in Lilydale. I'm a military veteran, retired police detective, and fitness and yoga instructor, and wellness is my passion. My show is a combination of many life experiences that will feature various topics and guests to help enrich one's mind, body, and soul on your pathway to healthy living. My Facebook page is Wellness with Nancy Lombardo, where my motto is protecting and serving your well-being. And this week's special guests are Mychael Shane and Julie Adreani. And our topic is, what is physical mediumship? Reverend Mychael Shane is a trans physical medium and spiritual teacher. He has spent his life connecting to the Ascended Masters of Shamballah to bring forth their teachings and principles into the world. Mychael offers healing, instruction, and direction application so that individuals can strengthen and fully realize their connection to the spirit world. Julie is a physical mediumship practitioner, certified psychic medium, and spiritual healer and life coach. Julie has dedicated her life to God and helping explain the unexplained. I love that. First of all, thank you and welcome to both of you. And thank you so very much for being here today.
Thank
It's
you.
my pleasure.
Awesome. So I'd like to begin by first each of you telling us a little bit about yourselves and how you came to become mediums. And Mychael, we'll start with you.
Um, okay, well, basically, as a child, there was a prophecy about my birth when my mom was 15. The prophecy came true relative to when I was to be born. Um, so I really didn't have a choice. I was born into it, and I spent, I would say, 20 years of my life living life as everybody else does, and then I started doing training at the age of 28, um, and been doing this, studying the masters, training for physical phenomena, daylight apportations, billet readings, and because I really feel that people need to know that there's more out there than what that 9 to 5 life is, and it's been amazing, and I have had an opportunity to meet wonderful people throughout this lifetime. The differences, the different cultures. I've been around the world, and it's just been a wonderful experience. And in the last couple of years, I met Julie over here, who has really developed to greater levels, and I'm proud of her. And it's going to be something, hopefully, that we've never seen before.
I just had a follow-up question for what you said. So you said you were born into was your parents mediums also?
Um, no, well, kind of. Um, I was in Seattle. I was born in Seattle, Washington. There was a spiritualist church there, and my grandmother was the right hand man, or the head of the church, organizing and bookkeeping and things of that nature. My mother was told in the prophecy that she wasn't to raise me, that the church would raise me, and that did happen for almost 7 years. Um, but there's controversy around my father, who was the medium of that church. But I didn't know that until about 4 years ago, and I would say that, yeah, I guess you could say my dad was a medium.
Yeah, I'm just curious. A lot of times it's generational, and I see a lot of that here in
Well,
Little.
they do say that when it comes to physical medium, you have to really have someone in your family in the past that has been that same thing. That's when you're born into it. But you can be trained without having your family. It's kind of like the Harry Potter thing. You could be a mudblood, or a true blood, I guess they call it. And it can be trained, but it's a lot better, I guess, a lot easier to learn and to develop if you're born in karmically to be here in this world to do it. But it can be trained. Julie, like for instance, was I'll say, a student who was easily trained because she already had it within her. She's been doing this other lifetimes, so myself. Um, and I know of a past in this life member of her family was a medium as well, but I haven't spoken to her yet about that, so I'll save that for later.
And we'll let Julie tell us about herself.
Hi. So I have mediums in my ancestry, not my mother. I do believe my father was pretty much as close as a physical medium as you could get, as far as understanding multiplicity and multidimensionals. He believed in ufology back in the 50s and 60s when he was young, and everybody thought he was, out of his mind. But I did have my first apport from a grandmother that I had never met at 8 years old. And it was a handkerchief that had floated down from the ceiling. We thought I was playing that hand game with my sister. And I was kind of upset because I had to come home from playing with my friends because their grandmother came over. So then, they had to spend time with their grandparents. So I was really wishing that I had my grandparents to come over and dote on me. And that's when I received this apport. I've always had a lot of telekinetic energy. Things would happen in our house. Cabinets would open when I was younger. A lot of crazy things, a lot of light phenomena, and that type of thing is still happening. But when I got older, I started having a lot of anxiety in my late teens, early 20s. And I was having anxiety because I was picking up on other people's energy. And I knew when my father was going to get sick and pass. And that really brought on anxiety attacks because I didn't really want to know. And I wasn't sure if what I was getting was true. But so I just went along with my life, though, the flow of life. I think in this lifetime, in my contracts, I wanted to be a mother. So I have 5 children. I
Oh my goodness. That's a
mhm,
lot.
12 grandchildren. So I love spending my time and dedicating that to my family. In the 90s, I did start doing privately psychic readings, like with cards and coffee cups. So I always like to read the coffee grounds. But I didn't take it publicly because I didn't want to embarrass my children because they were actually afraid. After my father passed, electronics, like in particular his big stereo, remember the stereos with the big speakers?
Mhm.
And he would have this whole collection from Reader's Digest of the swing music. So it would start coming on random times and scare everybody. Then finally I unplugged it and I said, then I put it in a different place, unplugged it, and I thought, okay, it'll be good here. But it still would come on. We would still hear the music. So finally that had to go to the garage. So, but phenomena like that, even in my last home that I lived, there was an intercom system. And I received voice messages through that intercom the entire time I lived there. So that was really great. And I had communication from a grandmother from 8 generations back. And I didn't even know that I had any German blood in me or Scottish. And I was given her name, grandfather's name from 8 generations back, and on what ship they came here to America on. And so she said that it was in our bloodline, but that I had it the strongest since her. And she, at that time in the 1700s, could not practice, but she practiced as a birthing doula and a healer for women and had 11 children in that day and age.
Wow. I love that.
So I was able to verify everything on ancestry.com. So that was like, that blew my mind when you get information and then you can verify it.
So how long have you been a working medium then?
2018, I went public and started doing it professionally.
Mhm. Yeah.
I started doing physical mediumship circles, and 2013 was my first circle that I physically went to, and we would sit for phenomena, and we did get phenomena.
Awesome. I was thinking, Mychael, when you were talking about your grandmother, have you met Emmy Check-in here in Lilydale? One of our founding members of the church, and she always told about her grandmother that lived here in Lilydale, had the house right next door to hers as a trumpeter. You know, that's what she did as a physical medium, and Emmy still has that trumpet in her house, and I love to hear that story when she talks about it. So, Mychael, can you explain to our audience? I know a lot of times we're always talking about mediumship through just regular mediumship of hearing and feeling, using the clairs, but can you explain what physical mediumship is?
Yeah, basically anything that occurs on a physical nature, in other words, a materialization, apportation, anything that moves. Um, in some of the seances I've done in the past, and one recently, where the person that's sitting in the chair, that's watching, the sitter, they would move. Their chair would move with them in it. Sometimes even levitate a little bit. Um, I do a thing called healing seance, um, that Julie partakes in as well, where spirits materialize and do hands-on healing on the people in the room. They'll come up and sit in front of the cabinet about 3 feet out. Materialization would occur, hopefully, because it's not all guaranteed. Um, and then they would receive a healing, a hands-on healing. They'd be able to touch and feel the hand and sometimes even the body of the entity. Anything physical that's brought into the physical world, like mental mediumship, that's communication from medium to spirit, spirit to medium, but there's no physical phenomena that's connected to it. I also use what we call the tools. Um, as my grandfather used to say, the right tool for the right job. Seance trumpet, which when it moves and comes out, people can see it because we have glow in the dark tape on them. And that would be also part of physical phenomena. The apportation, where objects materialize either through a cloud of ectoplasm out in the middle of the room, up in the on the ceiling, it falls onto the people in the room. We call that showers from heaven. Um, uh, what was it, 1800 and something? Julie just did recently that fell out of the sky onto the people.
1881.
And then I'll do those the daylight apportations. That's also physical phenomena. Um, Trance mediumship doesn't require any kind of motion or materialization, but it puts the medium in a trance to where communication can come through. But generally, it's either um, uh, through it's through the medium themselves, but it's not the medium's consciousness. So physical mediumship is basically anything that occurs that moves or appears through the ectoplasm or the energy of the medium, and even in some cases the battery of the people in the room. That's considered physical mediumship.
I was talking to Javi Richards. She's our office manager here in Lilydale, and she's a physical medium. And we were talking about, I mean, physical mediumship, for people that might not know, dates all the way back to the beginning of spiritualism, basically. I know Flo Cottrell, the keeper of the Fox Cottages, she would do table tipping at the Maplewood Hotel here, that which is part of physical mediumship, I believe, also.
Yes, it is.
So yeah, it dates very far back, and it has been upkept throughout the centuries of people like you and Julie that still show people exactly what it is and prove people what it is. So it's very interesting. How did you guys?
Physical mediumship could go back as far as even Moses.
Oh, I didn't know it went that far back. Wow.
Yeah, it's just there was no actual name to it. They'd call him a prophet or something like that.
Hmm.
You know, there's
So how
been
did,
rumors that Nostradamus was a physical medium. You
wow,
know, there's been physical mediumship all down through history. Mary Todd Lincoln was one of the first president's wives that had me seances in the White House.
yes,
Oh,
she
can I
did.
say something? And I am through ancestry, I found out the connection. So I am related cousin wise, a few, you know how I don't know, you call them removed, but she's on my family tree, Mary Todd Lincoln.
Yeah.
So I do believe that that she was a physical medium.
Well, while you're talking, how did you and Michael get to meet and ultimately work together?
Well, I remember seeing a few clips of his apportations because I was always drawn to physical mediumship. I was looking for help to practice and learn 15 years ago, but there was nothing. There wasn't even much in mentorship in my area. I mean, I had a family, so I couldn't leave and go to Europe, Arthur Finley, or I couldn't come to Lilydale because I had a gang of kids to watch. But so through searches on the internet and just connections, I got connected with Mychael. We did a few interviews because I had a little talk thing and a little group. So I asked Mychael to speak for us. And then he asked me to come to an event when I was in Phoenix. He asked me to come to Ohio. He was going to do a physical mediumship event, and he asked if I wanted to work the internet part. So we had like a hybrid thing where people were online and in person. So that's the first time we worked together, like for anything. And then I found out that Mychael was going to be doing an in-person physical mediumship class in Erie, Pennsylvania. Now, I was living back and forth between Phoenix and Chicago, but I knew with all my heart and soul that nothing was going to stop me from taking this class. I didn't know how I was going to pay for it. I didn't know how I was going to get there, but I did. And I went back and forth for phase one, which lasted a month. So I drove back and forth every weekend from Chicago to get there. And then for the second half, the phase two, I decided to rent a home, you know, an Airbnb, and I stayed. And the physical mediumship activity started. I had spontaneous levitation of my trumpet early on. I think maybe after the first week with Mychael, it was just like an instant connection.
Wow.
Yeah, and I actually, which is kind of funny, because her trumpet came up a lot quicker than everybody else's did. I was suspicious, thinking it was her actually putting the trumpet in her hand and flinging it around the room. But then Lady Nada, who's my cabinet guide and spirit guide, told me, "Nope, you need to get over yourself. There's others out there that can do this." And and so I was keeping my eye on her, and it was pretty amazing. Um, but then after, I'd probably say around November, December of that year, um, my master teacher was telling me that I should take her under my wing. Um, and so I did, and now we're just working side by side, and it's turning out to be, the phenomena is really beautiful and exciting, but the information that's coming through has been even more so exciting.
That's
So I
wonderful.
can't wait to see what's next.
Like it unfolded naturally, huh? Sounds
Yeah,
like.
well, actually, I was told that it was karmic.
Yeah, it sounds it for sure. Julie, can we tell people, like, because I heard a little bit of background when you were talking, that you're having some construction done at your house, did you say?
Yes, I apologize. We're
No,
having
that's okay.
coming down. It's very exciting. So
That's a good thing and a bad thing, I guess, when you're trying to do stuff like this, but it wasn't too bad. It was just okay. Just want to make
it's
people
not
aware of
phenomena. It's real workers this time.
that. Right? So can anybody learn how to do this? And either one of you can answer that question.
Yeah, I have a quote that I did a number of years ago, and that is, I believe what I know can be taught. And I have done classes um, off and on for 32 years, um, starting out in California, where I met my wonderful wife. And I've had success with some students. I've had uh, students that wasn't successful, but it just depends on what Serapis Bay tells everybody. You have to have discipline, commitment, and my favorite one, patience. I don't care what class you're taking for mediumship, whether it's a 3-day workshop, a 2-month course. You're not going to just immediately be a medium just because you take a class. The training continues. You got to be diligent and train yourself with the knowledge that you learn in the class. Um, Honestly, I didn't do any kind of phenomena for about a year. It took a year of training for Lady Nada to be the first person to communicate through my trumpet. And her first words were, "It's about time." And so, yes, anyone can be trained, but I would also add, it's not really for everybody. Um, it doesn't matter if you do readings with pendulums or a physical mediumship; they're all just as important.
Yeah,
And when you're learning physical mediumship, you'll come more connected to what you're really good at. You could learn to be tarot cards or mental medium or pendulum or physical. It's just what your inner self, your higher self, puts out for you to do.
yeah, you're exactly right about that. And I know the big word we always say is trust.
And trust. Yes, you have to trust and feel good about the mentor, and you have to trust and feel good about yourself.
Yeah, you're exactly right about that. You're exactly right. So, Julie, what would you say is the importance of physical mediumship?
I believe it's a way to show people that there's a few things that we are spirit, and therefore we can connect to spirit. We are energy, and if you have the patience and the right connections and the physical attributes that Michael was saying, if you sit enough, you can produce enough ectoplasm. So the importance is that some people are visual learners, and if they can see something, then they believe it. If they can actually see the native drums levitating 8 feet and being played because there's tiny little glow in the dark stickers on them, and they feel that vibration. If they can see it, they feel it with their senses, then they can start to believe it. Michael and I also put glow in the dark stickers on each corner on top of our cabinets because they're known to dance and walk and spin. And when they feel that vortex of wind coming around and they literally see the up and down of the cabinets, I mean, that's kind of undeniable. Then they really can believe. So I just feel like it just gives a little more proof, because some people need that proof. Some people, blindly believe everything, and because they sense themselves. But I feel like it's good to have to be skeptical and open-minded when you're coming to a physical mediumship event. And most people are really blown away because there really is a lot of phenomena that happens, especially with two mediums working together. It's powerful. There's a lot of manifestations that are happening. The beings walking out of the cabinets, giving small lectures. Even as Mychael said earlier, we do healing seances together now. And the last one that we did in Cincinnati, there was actually a holy ash powder that was materialized in a crystal bowl that I bring with me because I was told to bring this crystal bowl to certain events. And so it's called vibhuti. And if you know anything about Ascended Masters Sai Baba, there it is too. So holy ash. And it materialized, and everyone got a little baggie of it. And then we were told and shown to tell them how to use it for healing.
What a beautiful story. Really pretty story.
They went home with something physical, and
Right.
they asked for physical, something for them to take home that are programmed for whatever it is they need.
Do you have anything to add to that, Mychael? Do you think she explained that pretty well?
Yeah, she did pretty good there. I would add that, you know, there's a lot of people that doubt that it's really phenomena coming from spirit, though I have been tested scientifically on that. But people are going to believe what they want to believe, and that's their right, you know. But the one thing that cannot be, let's say, faked is the energy and the vibration that people feel with these objects. There's no way that I could, or Julie could, or any of the other physical mediums that do this could control someone's mind to believe that, oh, wow, this is great. I can feel that, you see? So that's what makes it real, um, more so than it actually being real. It's the reaction of the individual. And these objects are not there for the show. It's not an entertainment thing. It's for healing, knowledge, and love that get programmed into these objects. And and sometimes, and in fact, lately, there's been objects that actually have a lot of monetary value to them. And honestly, I mean, I'm not a rich person to where I can just give away these objects to everybody in the room. Um, so you're putting yourself under some scrutiny when you're claiming certain things that occur. And another thing in regards to what Julie was saying, that vibhuti that came through, I mean, it was, you could feel, and the people that were around the bowl, and everybody got a little bit of it, could feel an energy within it that nobody has ever felt before. Um, so, how is that possible? You see, and I'll go back to what Wayne Dyer once said to me: "Where God is, all things are possible."
It's a great quote. Really great quote. So, Mychael, how did you first hear about Lily Dell and get involved here in Lily Dell?
Well, I actually heard about Lily Dale from my grandmother back in the 60s.
Oh, neat.
She had been there. Um, there was I don't remember the name of the medium, but there was a medium there back when Lily Dale did dark room stuff, that she went to go see because she was doing some investigations and stuff. Um, and she told me about this place that was connected to the Fox sisters. And then later on in, I believe it was around 1993, 94, it was actually around 94, a gentleman by the name of Weston Bailey uh, brought up Lilydale in a lecture that he was doing. And that's the guy that brought me out of lethargy, I guess you could say, and got me back into the mediumship world. He mentioned Lilydale, and as I started developing, um, I tried getting into Lilydale. Before my wife became my wife, we went to Lilydale in 95, 96 with her parents and stuff. And because I was looking for a seance trumpet.
Mm.
And it was closed. It was wintertime and we got in, but the store that apparently sold them was closed and we couldn't find a main office, so we left. And then I kept trying, I called people to see if I, they didn't, I wasn't getting success in people wanting me to come there to demonstrate. And then um, when I got my mind set on something, I won't give up on it usually. And so in 2016, I think it was, I met Neil and he came down to Florida and he checked me out and he invited me to come to his house. And so I went to his house, did some events there, and then he was instrumental in getting me into Lilydale. I had to do some kind of test thing that I guess I passed because I've been invited back. Um, and I just love the place. I almost bought Neil's house.
Oh, yeah.
But there was too much things I had too many loops for me to go through. So I I
A little
gave
bit of
up.
a process for sure to own a house here.
So, but it has history with my family because my grandmother had been there. Her mother was very much involved. Um, I know that she sat with Marjorie Crandon. Um, her grandmother's or her mother sat with Dee Dee Home. Was actually there when he levitated out that window. So there's a long history, and I do believe, didn't Marjorie Crandon come to Lilydale sometime around the 30s?
Yeah, I couldn't answer that question. Don't know the answer to that question.
And then when Julie and I were doing that class, I forget which class we were doing during the symposium last year. The lady that had recently passed away that's on that wall with the pink dress on,
Mavis, was it Mavis or Jan?
Mavis, that's it.
Mhm.
She was sitting in the room when we were there in spirit. And so honestly, I really feel that Lilydale is a gateway to positive spirits that come through that still partake in what others that are in the living section, uh, and help.
Totally.
So,
Yeah.
um,
Considering we've
so
been
I,
here
I believe I was like
145
5 years
years.
old when I heard about Lilydale the first time.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, we've been doing this 145 years. We've been here this year. We'll be celebrating. So it's a lot of energy moving in that amount of time for sure. And I know, Julie, me and you met last year and spoke at the coffee shop, actually. When did you first come to Lilydale?
The first time, I believe, was 2020 when I actually got there, but I have followed and knew about it because I love all things Victorian. I am an antiqueaholic and I've always been drawn there. So it was really almost felt like a homecoming to me, especially the Lincoln Room at the Maplewood
Oh, yeah.
and feeling the precipitated art, Lincoln, and knowing that I have a little bit of a relationship with Mary Todd Lincoln through, family ties and just amazing. I just felt kind of like being home. And I met so many wonderful people that I was supposed to meet, and we're still dear friends to this day. So I had no idea a couple of friends were going to be staying in the same hotel at the same time. We didn't know each other were going to be there, and they wound up being right next door to me, and we had the most amazing time. So it's full of synchronicities. It's full of fairies and elementals, which is another passion of mine. And last year I was so happy to help do a class in the pre-physical mediumship week of the fairy trails and elementals. And a lot of people will say, well, what do they have to do with physical mediumship? But Mychael will tell you too, a lot. It's their belonging of this earth, and they're very powerful. So it's wonderful to utilize them no matter what kind of mediumship you're using.
Yeah, that's a great room at the Maplewood, of course, and our one-of-a-kind art that we have there. Beautiful. Yeah, for sure. Well, since you brought up the subject, how about we go over what workshops you and Mychael are going to be doing this year, and what you're going to be offering.
That would be best for Julie to answer because I don't have my notes.
I think she's ready for that one, so that's a good thing.
This one. So at Lilydale, as soon as next week, and you can sign up online. Origins of the Soul will be doing on January 23rd.
Yeah, it's coming
And
right up.
yes, so you really don't want to miss out on this. This is information that you haven't heard anywhere else. And
Can you
it's
give a little brief synopsis of what it's about?
well, the origins of our history, of our souls, and it goes deeper than religion, much, much deeper into physical reality. So
And what
it's
time
really
is this one?
they will be, I believe, at 1:00.
Okay.
1:00 Lilydale time, Eastern time.
Yeah.
1 to 3, or 1 to 4. 1 to 4.
How do they how could the people connect to that? Find out
Yeah,
how to sign up and all
the
of that.
Lilydale Assembly Inc. Website, and then we have all the events on the Facebook page, but they can go to our website and they can actually, they have all the off-season stuff lined up and they can click on it and buy tickets.
Yeah, all you have to do is just click on the picture and it goes right to the link
Yeah.
where you need to go. Mychael and I also have it shared on our social media pages. So wherever it leads to the same place, to the lilydale.org, and you can purchase your ticket very easily. And then on February 7th, we're teaching connecting to your past lives.
Oh,
That's
people love that one.
yes. And we both connect with as many past lives for the people who come as we can. Also, there's just so much information about it. And then on February 15th, I'm teaching a spirit photography class.
Nice.
I have a lot of photographs and images of spirits, guides, ectoplasm that I've collected. And so that's really interesting and fun. That same thing, it's on Zoom. And then June 20th, we're going to be at the Metaphysical Medley. Susan Barnes is hosting the pre-week from the 16th to the 20th.
And this is the week right before our season. I think you all did this last year and it was very successful. So I'm pretty sure it's going to be even more successful this year.
Yes, and last year all the Maplewood was not open, but this year they're opening. So go
Yes.
ahead and do reservations because that is such a special place.
And this is you're part of a week-long event that will be going on that week?
Yes, and then connected with that, so that ends on a Thursday. Friday and Saturday, Mychael and I will be doing double physical mediumship seances right down the road at Neil's.
Okay, perfect.
Special rate, and they are connected, so you can get in touch with Neil for those. And Mychael and I just started an online teaching course again because last year's course was so successful. It's called Surrendering to Spirit. And last date to sign up is next week, but Mychael did a lecture on Zoom last night and it was wonderful. So
your websites?
The two.
What's your websites?
Just julieadreani.com or Julie Adreani Spirit Medium. Mychael, is yours up yet?
Actually, I wouldn't give out that yet because
Okay.
it's being updated and fixed. So if you go there, it's just going to be confusing to people.
Okay. Or you can also go to afterlifeconnect.com and find me. We both are connected with the Assembly International, and that's a site too. So you just type in my name, but just my name, Julie Adreani, will get you to the
Is
website.
there any other workshops in Lilydale after that week-long event that you'll be doing?
Not yet, not because we were traveling so much in October. We weren't able to know our schedule for the summer, and we are booked out. So no, No,
Okay, I
not
just want to make sure we weren't missing anything.
yeah, because last year we did. We came back in July and we did get wonderful precipitation art class that
Yeah,
I'm
I
sure.
remember you came back. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I was asking. So, yeah, we got a full schedule for sure, and it's
yeah,
going to start off great with your week-long course that you guys are going to be here doing. So it's all exciting. And you
Yeah.
know, our off-season workshops have really been picking up attendance-wise, and people are hearing about us and learning about us, and all these different classes that we offer. It's just a wonderful thing. It's a total wonderful thing.
it's
So,
amazing.
Mychael, is there any last thing you'd like to tell us?
Well, in regards to Lilydale, I would recommend people to go there. There's a lot of talent coming in, and there and people that live there that do their readings and mediumship, mental stuff. Um, Not to mention that coffee shop has some really nice pastries,
Yes, yes.
which I happen to be enjoying when I go there. But I would say that we have been going through about 3 years of cleansing. And the reason why things are picking up in people's lives for interest in these kind of things is because we are moving into an era where people are not receiving their answers that they're looking for through mainstream or science. And so they're coming back. It's like a loop. We're now coming back to where mediumship and metaphysics and all that's becoming very popular again. Um, so I would say come, experience, and enjoy.
I love that. Nice words. Julie, you got any final words you'd like to say?
Just that I love it there. I love the peace. Like I said, it always feels like home, and the connection and just what it offers, whether you're there to work or whether you're there just to go and enjoy the peace and sit out, at the stump or in the fairy garden or really anywhere, walk by the lake. It really clears your mind and connects you with the all. So
I always say we have the best of both worlds. We have the lake, we have the woods, we have it all. The quiet, it's wonderful.
You even have a lake.
Yes, I even have the lake. So yeah, we got the water, we have earth. We can't beat it. Well, thank you so very much for both of you joining me this evening. I appreciate your time being here and explaining everything to our audience, which I know they'll enjoy listening to. Please join me again in 2 weeks for my next episode of Enlightening Your Way. Visit this page often for everything coming up on Lilydale. They post it on the page every day. This is the official Lilydale Assembly Facebook page. My name is Nancy Lombardo, and my page is Wellness with Nancy Lombardo. My motto is protecting and serving your well-being. Thank you so very much for joining us, and we'll see you again next time. Thank you and namaste. Thank you, guys.
Namaste. Thank you.